running. So I spent my Christmas in 1981 at the Dallas County Sheriff's Department. And I was giving testimony. They were showing me photos of the woods and where did I see him running out of. And from that point on, I was petrified because he had not been found.
Now, I made a mental picture of this man in my head, and I tell you why. I was 31 when this happened, and I believe she was too. My son was 4 years old when this happened. Now, I did not remember it being his birthday. In my head, I had this child as 4 years old. So it hit a personal note with me, okay? And I look at it real close, and I told him I might be crazy, but these pictures here, this is the same man. And it was. And we went out to Holloman Road, because Holloman Road joined Cartwright and Lawson Road. At that time, Holloman Road had been closed down, but we went out there anyway. We did what we did, and that first trial, I was at the first trial. I was on the stand 3 days with the cameras. That was nerve-wracking, and they convicted him of Roxann's murder, and they had messed up sentencing him somehow. That's the reason we had to go to court again for the little boy's murder. But that time they got him, and he's never going to get out. I don't know if he's alive still or what. All I know is I know he's locked up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my story.
Well, I know that. Well,
Heck, I didn't even remember it was Christmas, because when they finally talked to me, it was so many years later. I didn't have Christmas in my head. I told them I knew it was a good day. It was not cold. It wasn't hot. And the sun was shining.
Yeah.
And it was. My weather
most
turned out to be right.
Yeah. I remember them saying that the trunk had birthday presents, because it was his birthday, his 5th birthday.
Yeah.
And Christmas presents, because they were going to be going to a movie, and then they were going to go to a Christmas party. So they believed that they shot the little boy, or he shot the little boy point blank in the head in front of his mother. And so that, I'm sure
they did.
And then I believe he sexually assaulted her at some point or another. But my gosh.
And in 2000,
they told me that he was shot. That he was shot at such close range that it knocked the child from his shoes.
One thing.
Whenever the prosecutor contacted me, he was Brandon Birmingham is his name. He's now a judge. But he came out to my office with some whiteboard. He had them faced towards him. I couldn't see what was on the other side. And he interviewed me again as if it was the same day that it happened. And he asked me where I had seen him running out of the trees. And I told him. And he said, you have pointed out the exact location that they found her body. And where you told us in 1981 and the 19-year-old girl.
Wow.
So that's how much it stuck in my mind. I think I haven't been out to Mesquite in a long time, but I believe that if trees are still there, I could take you to where I saw him run out of the woods.
Because there was a family that lived there. I think they had like 8, 9 kids. So Holloman Road, I'm real familiar with Holloman Road. A lot of mean stuff happened on Holloman Road. A lot. I mean, it was not a road you wanted to go down.
It's just like the
single
devil.
Lane. Yeah, kind of like the devil worship. Yeah. They had this one big house.
Grew up over the top of it. And if you were driving down it, it did look scary. I admit I used to take my brothers out there and try to scare them out there. But it was also, I couldn't believe that this man knew where that road was. Unless you're from the area, you would not know that that road was there. But I believe it eventually came out that at one time he had been a sanitation worker for the city of Dallas, and the dump used to be out in that area.
No.
So he probably had noticed, some kind of knowledge of it.
At one point. Or
yeah. Okay, from where Dad's house, my house was, Holloman Road was at the top of the hill. And there was a little house there that the Bedfords lived in, but you made a right onto Holloman Road, and it it went down by the cotton fields, made a sharp left, and then a sharp right,
So I guess,
and
okay.
right around the bend there was the White House, and then it just would wind down through there.
And this is
Yeah.
from Lawson, or?
Well, Lawson is right here, and this right here is Holloman.
Okay.
You kind of run up across that creek, and it curved around here and came out onto Cartwright Road right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the house would have been like on that middle curve or that middle turn.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I found this online. It's like an old map from I think this 1960, 1970.
Oh.
It's so different now. so different.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I was wondering because Mike had told me about a barn that was on the road. I guess maybe the barn was survived. Maybe the house had already burned down, but there was a barn. He said that he went in at one time and there were just mattresses, like stacks of mattresses and stuff like that. And he was what was going on there? I was like, why did you even?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the people that lived there, I know we used to go up and pick pecans because they had beautiful pecan trees with the paper shell, and so that's where we got our pecans for pecan pies and things, And they did have a big barn.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
It's fascinating. And they've built all around it now. There's still elements, I think, of the road, and where they have stopped some of the subdivisions have been, the border has been like right there at where the road used to be. And it's interesting that they kind of, for whatever reason, they kind of kept that as a I guess a guideline. But yeah, it's all totally different now. It's actually kind of sad to see that, and to see that there's, a house that's going to be built. Somebody's going to buy a house that's going to be built right there where it happened, and they probably will have no idea that, and that's, and that's one reason why I think their memory needs to be, continued. And and that's hopefully what I'm going to do with this documentary.
Tommy, do you still stay in contact with her sister that was at the trial that, she had a hurt foot? And afterwards, she came up and was thanking us so much. Do you remember her?
She had beautiful red hair. I can't think of her name, but I know who.
Yes, she was very pretty. Do you remember her?
Who, me?
Yes.
No.
She was the sister that she was on that like tricycle because she had hurt her leg. She was having to ride that I called it a tricycle, but she had to ride it into court.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
That's very nice couple.
Did they live?
Yeah, they showed us pictures.
I'm sorry.
They showed us pictures of Roxann and all that made it more real. And that made it more real.
Yeah.
That it did make it more real, and I know that I had told the prosecutor I wasn't sure that I could look at him because he had terrorized me all these years, just knowing he was out there. But
and
I got him on
and you know what?
I stared straight at him.
I was going to say, I looked at him the whole time. That was my focus in the courtroom, was him.
Exactly.
So it was like, look at me, because I'm looking at you, and I know you killed these people,
In my mindset, because I had not planned on looking at him, but he was staring at me. I could feel him staring at me. So I looked at him and I thought, you know what? Yours was the last face those two people saw, and mine's going to be the last you saw.
Were you in the first trial, Tamera?
No. They hadn't found me yet.
I think to say I don't remember you being there in the first one
No.
because I know at one point when they asked me what was the first thing, that I noticed that was odd. Somebody in the courtroom made a remark. I have no idea what they said. All I know is they were escorted out of the courtroom. And so the second court time, when they asked me that, I froze. I did. And I said it was the cops when it wasn't. But I explained that to them later because I was afraid going to my car that day because his family was there and they were, even the second trial, you saw how they were. They sit there and they eyeballed us. It was like, no, I'm not walking in my car by myself.
Well, the
So
detective kept telling me, don't look at them, don't look at them. And I didn't look at them because we weren't there for them. We were there for Roxann and Kristopher.
well, it was the only way I could stay grounded was to look at him, to remember why I was there and not to get, because I was nervous. I was nervous because that first trial, 3 days on the stand, that they grilled me, and my story never changed. I knew very little, but they tried to keep putting words in my mouth. You can't put words in the mouth, you know. I can take you down Cartwright. I can tell you who lived where. I can tell you the roads that went off of it. I can tell you that once they crossed Mesquite Valley, the neighborhood that was there, which is where I live, the next thing that man came to, if he stayed on Cartwright, was the mobile gas station at 635. That raised a deal in the courtroom too, because I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
that area used to just be nothing. And you're telling the truth. Once
Yep.
he got past your house, he had to walk up to Bruton and LBJ where there was a mobile station. And that's when
Yep.
the third set of witnesses saw him. And of course,
want
Mark
to.
is not here.
Yep.
Yeah.